Record.
Okay.
Okay.
Good evening. It is 7 p.m. I'd like to open the June 4th Reuben Hoare Library Trustees Board meeting. This meeting is being held virtually through Zoom. The town of Littleton began conducting remote participation Zoom meetings pursuant to Governor Baker's emergency order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law on March 19th, 2020. Since that time, unanticipated legal concerns relating to the open meeting law have been brought to the attention of the town clerk. Those concerns were supported by the Attorney General's office and confirmed by town council. One concern is that the chat function allows a parallel text conversation to the board's public meeting. Chat is essentially running commentary that is occurring but is not moderated or followed by the chair. All participants and listeners may not be aware of comments being made because some meeting participants join by phone and do not see these conversations. Another concern is conversations between residents between the chat room which are not incorporated into the public record. In response to these concerns, the town will implement the following changes which in no way prohibit any member of the public from participating in discussion and sharing information during public meeting, and will ensure that all listeners and participants have equal access to this meeting. People that join the Zoom meeting are set so that their microphones are muted. If you called in by phone, please use *6 to mute or unmute your phone. So that the meeting can occur in an orderly fashion, we ask that people who join keep their microphones on mute so background noises do not interfere with the meeting. If you wish to participate in the meeting, please use the raise your hand function available on Zoom, or if you called in by phone, dial *9, which will activate the raise your hand function. The meeting host will notify the chairperson of the raised hands, and the chairperson will determine whether and when to allow public comment. When called upon, participants should unmute and then state their name and address. After speaking, we request the participant return their microphone back to mute. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Dave.
Welcome.
So we'll continue with the meeting. Public participation. I guess Katrina still counts. Just this one time. Hi, Katrina.
Hi.
Correspondence.
So we have a letter from George Sanders that he sent to Dimitra. Do you want me to show it on screen? It has his personal address and phone number on there and stuff.
No, that's okay.
Okay.
That was with his acknowledgement and his donation. We had one other one too, right, Sam? The MBLC.
Oh, right. The MBLC has decided to give us our second disbursement of over $1 million. The next 20% a little early. So we're going to get that before the end of the fiscal year.
Okay.
Okay. No other correspondence. We'll move on to approval of minutes.
All right. Do we have more than one set of minutes?
There's the May 7th and the May 20th.
Right. Yeah.
I might have missed something, but I didn't see anything in either of them that were that needed changed.
I'll give it just a minute here.
I have a new computer and I'm afraid to go away from the screen and look up the packet. So can someone tell me, I know I did the minutes on the 7th. Did I do them on the 20th or did somebody else? Did Dimitra do them on the 20th?
I think Dimitra did them on the 20th.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of the May 7th, 2020 meeting as written. One at a time, or you want both?
I second it.
Okay. It's going to be a roll call, so we'll go around. Let's see who's starting. David.
Dave Sill says yes.
Chris.
Saslin says yes.
Susan.
Susan Harvey says yes.
Mira.
Mira Gill says yes.
Demetra is on mute.
You're muted.
Demetra Taylor says mute.
Okay. Well, we could. Okay.
Mark Rambacher says yes. Okay. Do we want to make a motion for the second set, Dave?
Okay. Make a motion that we accept the minutes of what date was that? May 20th. May 20th, 2020, as written.
I second it.
Okay. You want to go around again?
David Sill says yes.
Jocelyn says yes.
Susan
Mira
Hart
Gill
says
says
yes.
yes.
Oh, sorry.
No problem. Mira Gill says
Demetra has
yes.
to.
Susan
Demetra's
Harvey
gonna
says
say
yes.
mute. Go ahead, Demetra.
Demetra Taylor says yes.
Okay. There we.
Okay.
Okay. Treasurer's report.
All right, hang on till I get that back again. Wait a minute. I had to make it go. Where? Oh, there. Okay. Thank you, Sam. Hold on. 1 second. And here we are right here. Okay. The treasurer's report. The balances for this date are the MMDT balance is $5,417.41. The building balance is $565,129.27. Everybody hear that one? I guess. All right, the only one I can see is, okay. Is everybody here?
Yes.
Okay.
Got it.
That's it. And there is also a copy of the latest Bartholomew up on the screen, which I received yesterday and forwarded to Sam, and Mark also got it too. Okay, so that is the treasurer's report, although there probably is something else that needs to be talked about, but I don't think that's right now, that's later on.
Sam, do you know if we paid out the scholarships yet?
Not yet. We're waiting for them to fill out their W-9s.
Right, and that's
Okay.
the other thing I wasn't sure of. I didn't get to check back in previous balances to see whether that money got actually transferred. I think it did.
I got an email from Susan today asking me to contact the young ladies because she didn't have their access information for the W-9s. It's being done.
Okay. Okay. Let's see, meeting packet. Meeting packet. Let's see.
Okay, Friends report. So,
Okay. So the Friends meeting was on the 21st, and one of the main topics was mini golf. They decided to go to an online version because they weren't sure that by September or October conditions would be favorable to do something either in the library. An outdoor event was too risky with weather and other things like that. So they are organizing an online mini golf with different events, maybe a Minecraft hole, videos from sponsors, videos from families making holes, different things like that. And then discuss the possibility of taking the auction online. So doing an online auction instead. So keeping the event going for visibility and keeping the event alive. And so it won't necessarily make as much money as it has in the past, but with what they've gotten in donations so far, it shouldn't lose any. But they were going to send out letters to the donors offering them a chance to back out if their financial situation had changed since the original event. Anything else, Katrina, that I forgot? No? Okay.
I think he had it on.
And then they will be sending out a newsletter at some point in the near future. And I volunteered to write a trustees blurb for that. So when I hear when there's a deadline for that, I will reach out and see what we need to include about building updates and where we are on that. Anything else from the trustees? And I think that was it.
That's about what I remember as well, so. Any other questions on the Friends report?
I love that they're
fundraising.
still thinking about mini golf. I think that's great.
Yeah. Fundraising and public awareness. I don't really think anything's really been happening on that outside of the mini golf event. So unless you have anything to add, Katrina, we'll just move on.
There's no updates on that yet. Nothing's changed.
Okay. Building project updates. So there's a lot going on the building project. I'll update, and Sam, if I speak on anything or you know anything different, you can fill me in. So there's been meetings the past couple Wednesdays with the CM at Risk, which is Commodore, and the OPM, which is Vertex, and PMBC. They're working on coming up with what's called the GMP, which is the Guaranteed Maximum Price, which is the price for the building going forward that Commodore says they can build it at. The final GMP should be ready next Wednesday, I believe, and PMBC will be voting to accept it and award the contracts next Wednesday. Last night, PMBC voted to award 3 early contracts for the project, which were for concrete, site work, and structural steel. And then the reason they did those in advance is they need the structural steel contract to be underway because of the lead time to make the steel. So basically, when they awarded the contract so that when they're ready for the steel will be ready, basically. The site work and the concrete numbers were awarded because they wanted to make sure they didn't lose those bids, which were very favorable. The rest of the contract will be awarded, I believe, probably next Wednesday. The project is coming in a little over budget, which we can talk about we'll talk about later on more on the use of the trust funds. Groundbreaking right now looks like they'll be setting up construction fencing and things around most likely the week of June 23rd, if all goes well. They have to there's a lot of ducks that still have to line up for this to happen. They have to get the final building permit. The town has to certify funds, and there's 1 or 2 other things I think they might need to happen before they can actually start the construction. But they're planning on the week of June 23rd. I believe all the boards have signed off in town that are required to sign off, and the paperwork's been filed. They're waiting for some appeals period to end to make sure that no one objects to the planning board or the conservation commission permits. Did I miss anything major, Sam?
No, I think you got everything.
So, outside of the way the contract is actually, it's kind of confusing when you read the spreadsheets, because Commodore is responsible for the building itself. And then there's a lot of stuff outside of that. The Commodore isn't part of the guaranteed maximum price, like the architecture fees and the fees for the OPM, and then furniture and some other things in the building. So their price is not the total price. So Sam is working on getting contracts or getting quotes for furnishings still, working with the architect on figuring that out. So any questions on the building project from what I said?
Yay, groundbreaking.
Okay.
Do we get to be there and like dig the first, like do we get to do that? Like dig the
Foam shovels and a whole bit?
Yeah, do we get to do something like exciting?
So we should talk more. I will talk more with the the construction firm about what we're, to do a public groundbreaking type thing, and see what can be done in this day and age, and when. But we'll work on some details, and I'll share those when we know more. Yeah, it would be nice. So it'd be just nice to see people that other than on camera.
That would be good.
Yeah. But so expect construction fencing to go up somewhere on the 23rd. I'm not sure exactly when that means for shovels in the ground, but I would guess it's not going to be that long thereafter. One of the ways that the CM at Risk works is it's to their advantage to do the construction project as quickly as possible, because their fee is basically set, and the earlier they do it, the quicker they get the project done, the more profitable it is for them, because they have to have people on site for less amount of time. So it's in their interest to have a short construction cycle. So we don't have real good dates beyond, they're planning on starting it towards the end of June, and they're still looking at, probably a late summer, early fall opening of 2021. If there's nothing else, we'll move on to trustee updates. I really don't have anything outside of, I miss seeing people in person, and like to get off these Zoom calls. You want to go next, Dave?
Yeah, well, I'll pretty much mirror you. I don't have a lot to say. We're still trying to follow what they say at these construction meetings, which is starting to get a little technical, but and that's about all I got, and I can hardly wait to see everybody again in person. That would be nice.
I can go next. I was working with Diane Haddock today and Andrea. I was asked in another online meeting today to be putting together a list of resources about the history of racism in this country and things that parents can educate themselves and then use for their children. This came up in an administrative meeting with the school board, superintendent and the principals yesterday. So it turns out that the list of books that has been recommended, we already own half of them. And some group of women already contacted Diane and said, we'll buy the rest of them for you. So this is awesome. There's 31 books in total. So I'm going to be making sure that that's on that list, that they will be available at Reuben Hoare. Yes. So that's what I'm working on tonight and tomorrow. Yeah. I have nothing else to do, of course. Right. The seniors are having their parade tomorrow that they usually do on their last day in May, but they're doing it tomorrow at 10. If you are anywhere near any of the schools, you will see them on the parade route. So just be aware. Lots of honking, I'm sure.
Okay.
Susan, I have a question.
Yeah.
In lieu of what is happening in our society right now, are the teachers revisiting their summer reading lists and making any changes?
Well, I'll tell you, I don't know what English is doing. I already assigned when I was a slave, so I'm on top of it. And the summer reading optional that I am doing is how to be an anti-racist. Okay. Some of the teachers at the high school have changed their last unit to address this.
Okay.
Which is, this is going to be ongoing work. It's always ongoing work. But we're working towards it. Yeah.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
I can go
Other
next.
than that, I'm nuts. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's been kind of a crazy couple of weeks. I feel like I was all in quarantine mode, and then all of a sudden, I was going to with Catherine a protest yesterday, and all of a sudden was in a group of a lot of people in Westford with my mask on and socially distanced, but also in the first time being in a crowd, which was very exciting to be there and to be protesting, but also really disconcerting given that we were just coming out of not having been around people at all. But it was good to see a really good turnout in Westford. And I know Katie and a couple of her friends were on Littleton Common on Tuesday night, and there's another big protest, I think, or big, I don't even call it big, but there's another protest in Littleton on Saturday. So I have, I don't know if I'll be going to that, but I know my child will be. So we're definitely kind of in that mode, trying to figure out what it means to still be on quarantine, but also try to express our outrage and our thoughts about what's going on right now. So, and in my other life, I am doing school visits and talking about writing and books to fifth graders, which I mentioned earlier, which has been a lot of fun, and working and trying to keep writing. It feels, again, like, as Susan said, it feels like I'm going in like 14 different directions at the same time. Oh, and driving my child around when she's delivering books, because she's now delivering for the Silver Unicorn in Littleton when there are sales. So we've been to Mrs. Harvey's house several times delivering books.
Yes, yes.
She likes me to drive her so that she's not driving. I don't want her to be driving to strangers' homes delivering books, so I drive her when she's got deliveries to make.
And Chris, Chris, I can add something about the demonstration this Saturday on the Common. It's 10 to 1. I am somebody who's supposed to be doing crowd control.
Okay.
It's being organized by a former LHS student, graduated in 2015. She contacted me, asked me for some advice. I said, please make sure that the police know, that the town administrator knows. So we're not allowed to have, I think the one on Tuesday night had about 40 people. I don't think we can go a whole lot more than that. So I'm going to be there to make sure that that is what happens.
Okay. Good to know.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you for doing that.
Okay, I will speak from a patron perspective about the library's reopening. From my perspective, it's working really well. I've been there once to pick up some books. My kids were struggling because they don't know what to ask for. So they just go and browse around the shelves and pick out what looks good. But I emailed Diane and asked her if she could maybe just set aside, pick out 3 books a week for my kids to read. And she got back to me within an hour and said, sure, that's great. So, under the circumstances, I think it's working as well as possible, at least from our perspective in my family. So thank you to all the librarians for their hard work.
I want to just jump in because I also did curbside this week, and I almost always will pick my books and request them and then go pick them up. But the curbside worked beautifully. We got there, we rang the doorbell, Andy came out with the book. It was perfect. So thumbs up to the staff again.
Okay, I guess I'll go next. Well, I'm currently in Dennis, which is interesting to see how another town in Massachusetts is entering into their phase with this COVID. The libraries in Dennis are closed right now, and only food is doing curbside pickup, and everything's basically closed. So it's kind of strange because usually at this time that the season is picking up and everything, but yeah, that's basically it. And just getting through the last couple weeks of remote learning, and we'll just see day by day what happens next.
This is crazy.
Do you have anything you want to say, Katrina?
Not of trustee yet. So I guess, yeah, no. I'll have a trustee's note next time, I guess.
Okay. Okay, then we'll move on to director's report.
Okay. Let me see if I can open it. Done. So, as everybody knows, we've been open for curbside pickup, and patrons are returning to retrieve materials. They've been returning books. It's been kind of off and on. There are lulls, but so far it's going really well. Staff is doing a great job considering the situation. They're all doing really well. Helen has been doing all the acquisitions and processing with ATSCO, getting books out there. Staff is, really happy to help the patrons. They've been asking patrons if there is anything else that they can help them with. Curbside is going well so far. Patrons are calling, patrons are emailing us, and it's going well. Right now, the town is still closed to the public. I know Nina is working on plans to open up again, but right now we're the only town department that's really open to the public in any form. I believe the governor is going to come out with his statements about phase 2 soon, so hopefully we'll know more about that then. I know a lot of libraries are coming up with ideas, and all the directors are sharing with each other what we're going to do when phase 2 does come. So hopefully we'll have more about that soon. Basically, it's going well. It's sometimes it's slow, sometimes it's busy. It's kind of give and take. We've been getting the word out there, trying to get the word out there to people that we're open. MVLC has been extending due dates. We don't have fines anyway, but we're trying to extend due dates because I believe I got an email today. If everybody returned everything, it would be about 3,500 things that have to be returned by June 15th. So we've extended the due dates for that. Also, what else is there? What else was I going to say? Yeah, we're still doing e-cards for patrons. We're still doing programs online. Just trying to do everything. Okay. Let me see if I can share my screen to show you the rest of the report. Okay. So financial report. We're doing well as far as payroll goes. We have only a month left in payroll, and we have about 8 to 10% of payroll available, so that's enough to cover us for the rest of the year. Town materials, there's still a hold on town materials, so we can't spend that, but we've been spending trustee money, gift money, and state money. And let's see, that's pretty much all we're really allowed to spend right now. And we did reach tomorrow already, so we don't have to worry about that. So right now we're just spending money on summer reading and hot titles and things of that nature.
Not much in the way of notaries.
Nope, I did do 2 notaries.
All right.
Yeah.
I need to come use that service. So do I do it when you're on or Andy? Like, which one needs to be bumped?
I'm a notary, Andy's a notary, Jean's a notary, and Julie B is a notary. So
I'll hit one.
Go ahead and ask for one of us. Okay.
They fight over who gets to do them, so.
Yeah. We have to keep our tallies. Right now I'm in the lead.
There you go.
Yeah. And then obviously door count 0. Did register some new borrowers, added new materials. And here are the stats. Hoopla was at a high this month. We went over $1,000. Usually it's around $600 to $700. So
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good to be able to do that. Does that hurt us in any way? That much money going out? Or are we okay?
We probably won't be able to keep it up. It's not something that we really. I'll probably have to lower the number again soon.
Yeah.
But
What's the number at now you got? I haven't been on Hoopla in a little bit.
I can't remember. I think it's 15.
Ooh. Okay.
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 And that's it for my report. Any questions?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm all set.
Your turn to add something, Helen. I skipped you in trustees update, so I figured you'd add something now.
Yeah, no, I just said to Sam, I was really sad that they froze that last $9,000 on us, because that's money for us that we basically was in the pipeline. So now we're taking it from other places and we'll just have to make do, so we'll see how it goes. So doing the best we can with little at the end. But I guess we met the mar, so we live to fight another day.
Okay. There was a program. There's been a couple of programs going on too, I know, online. There was the Beantown Girls or something. How's the programming going?
The Beantown Girls went well. What was there, like 20?
Do a 20. Yeah.
20 participants?
Yep.
That went pretty well. Story times I know have been going well. Jennifer has been doing her story time, and she's getting a lot of people on Facebook to watch it. Diane's doing her story time. That's going well. Jeff is doing his book club, and Julie Effort is doing her book club, and they're all going very well.
Okay.
Okay. If there's nothing else on the director's report, I don't see anything under old business. Is there anything we're missing under old business, Sam?
I don't think so.
New business, schedule of meetings for 2021. So do we want to keep with the same schedule of the first Thursday of the month or something else?
I'm content with that. Wow.
That's fine with me.
I'm looking to see if there's anything that's a problem going out. It will be I guess, nope. Okay, so we'll just say the first Thursday of the month through May 6th, Sam?
Okay.
And we're not,
Okay.
Mark, we are not taking a month off this year.
Let's plan to at least meet for July, and then we'll vote. Then we'll see in July if we can take August off or not.
Okay.
But I'm pretty sure we're going to need to meet in at least July. Maybe. Yeah, maybe not in August, but we'll plan for July at the moment.
Okay.
Actually, going back to Sam, theoretically, if the governor changes us to phase 2 on Monday, when is the plan to change the library to phase 2?
So a lot of other libraries are doing it in the middle of June if we do go to phase 2. So like June 20th or so.
I was going to interject something. I think you have to stay with the.
You muted yourself.
Helen, you muted yourself.
You're muted again, Helen.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I think the only problem you'll have is if we don't coincide with when the town allows people in, you're going to have people coming into the library and then not being able to get into the town, or people coming into the town and not being able to be at the library. So if we stay when the town hall opens to the public and we coordinate it with them, then the building is open and we're not being the police department.
Yeah, I understand that. I think that's a fine thing. Um, I would also be in favor of doing like a phase 2A versus 2B, where I still think we should consider, if the governor says we can open, setting up, moving the computers from around the polls down into the Cooper room and setting up 4 computers or however many down there and letting patrons in to use the computers, because I know we're pretty much the source of internet for a certain contingency in town, and it's a shame that they haven't been able to access for a couple months. So I think we could come up with a plan to have minimal contact with the patrons, not really allow them into the building per se, just into the Cooper room, and come up with a plan of doing that, even if the library itself isn't really open.
I spoke with IT and they said that that's possible to move the computers downstairs. So I can definitely, if the governor says it's okay, I can come up with some sort of plan for that.
Okay, I'll work with you, Sam, on that if you would like.
Sure.
And and what we would need for that. Okay. Okay. So the next is the use of the trust funds for the building project. Let me. So as I said, the project is slightly over budget as it stands right now. So the town voted 14.6. All in, we were at $14.6 million. As the construction stands right now, it's the estimate is $15 million. So there's been a couple suggestions on how to close the gap. And the suggestion is the trustees authorize the use of trust funds to cover that $400,000. So actually I had 2 different things that I thought, but so Steve Venuti suggests that we vote something that says we authorize the use of up to $400,000 from the Reuben Hoare Library Trust Funds to cover any potential shortfall in project costs, and further authorize the treasurer to withdraw these funds from the Reuben Hoare Library Trust Funds as needed for the building project from available funds in the 3 or 400 section of the monthly detailed trust statement. The trustee shall notify the treasurer in advance of movement of any funds as well as specific funds being impacted.
You read that backwards. It should be the treasurer shall notify the trustees.
Yeah, okay, sorry.
That's okay.
So basically what we will be doing is authorizing the project to be a $15 million project, and we will cover $400,000 of the potential shortfall out of trust funds. The last money spent on the project will be coming out of trust funds. So in other words, if the project comes in at $14.5 million, we won't be spending any money out of trust funds. If it comes out at 14.7, we'll spend $100,000 out of trust funds. We don't have to vote which trust funds they're taking the money out of. They will notify us when they're ready to do that. How they will do that. What I will probably ask Steve to do is take the earnings from the 300 and 400 funds basically out, right? Leave the funds themselves there, but we'll take out some of the earnings. So if that makes sense. So everything that's a named fund will remain a named fund. We just will be lowering the balance. I forget what the exact balance is in the trust funds right now. So in the 300 funds, Sam has it popped up there. We have the column M, and can you scroll a little to the right, Sam?
Trying.
So I believe we can take basically the money from the 300 funds. You have the monies in the M and N column that are available to us. And then the 400 funds, you have the whole balance available to us, which is approximately $200,000, it looks like, for the 400 funds. So all told, there's 600, what is it, that 550, $700,000 in those funds. So if we take 400,000 out, you know, we're basically taking a little over half out if we have to spend all of the money, half of what we could spend. So we've been assured that, so one of the things PMBC voted was at their meeting last night on my request is that they won't spend any of the money out above the 14.6 without asking us first. So, so the way the construction projects work is there's a couple contingency funds. The contractor has a contingency fund which has about $400,000 in it. That is what's used to help them make their guaranteed maximum price. So if for example, the site work comes in higher than they expected, if there had to be a change order, that will be used. The first thing will happen is they'll come out of all of their contingency fund before they would potentially ever come back to us and ask for more money, right? They would come and ask for more money outside of that if they hit something unexpected, right? Like a lot of ledge, or, you know, they found, you know, oil drums or things like that back there. Those are something that would be outside of the scope of the original project. In addition, there's 460,000-ish in contingency funds that are outside of the construction project itself. So those are things that, like, if the trustees decided, for example, you know, using the border wall, they decided to paint the border wall black, right? And that would be coming out of those contingency funds. If we decided to do a change order on something, right, to, we don't like the color of the concrete for the patio and we're gonna have it painted pink or something, right? And it's gonna cost more money, or things like that, right? Those will come out of those contingency funds. They won't be spending the money without, a lot of the things won't be spent without our approval. Also, Dave and I sit on the PMBC for the library vote, so we also get to vote on these things. So there's a fair number of checks and balances to help protect us. So hopefully we don't have to spend the 400,000. We're making it available in case we need to. Does that make sense to everybody? Are there any questions on that?
So just so we're clear, they come to us absolutely last after expending all the money everywhere else, right? They come to us last.
It's, yes, pretty much last. There's a little play on what last actually means, but yeah.
Okay.
We've made it clear to everyone involved, from the contractor to the OPM to the town offices to PMBC, that this money is spent last, right? So there's a little bit of, so the way it actually works for the contingency fund inside, that the CM at risk, the Commodore controls, they don't have to give that money back until the end of the project. So we've asked, and they've kind of agreed that they will be monitoring that money along the way and will be giving it back to us along the way as they buy things out and they're sure that they don't need it. So we're not completely last, but we're as close to last as we possibly can be, right? So there's bids on every, so the way the CM at risk works is there's a huge number of documents. I think the contract will be well over 150 pages of bid documents and things, because you know exactly what they're paying for everything along the way. So it's pretty open book, and they've built in, so if we just take like concrete and steel, right? They build in things that they think might be unforeseen in there to a little bit, like the concrete has probably $20,000 or $30,000 in the budget for things that weren't necessarily included in the project, but will be needed to be covered by something like washing out the concrete trucks and then cleaning up the extra concrete. There's a line item in there that may or may not get spent. So we should be okay on coming in under budget, but under the $15 million budget, not necessarily under the 14.6. But there's a lot of things still being negotiated, and everyone is working very hard to stay within budget. The price hasn't went up because of feature creep. It's just the cost of business for some of these things. Some of the trade work came in a lot more expensive than they originally estimated. The big ones being things like drywall and some of the carpentry work. The outside work was cheaper. The inside work was a lot more expensive. They also have put in budget for COVID-19 and some other testing into this project that they originally didn't have. There's, I think, roughly $100,000 or $125,000 of money in there to deal with general things like that. So, so hopefully we don't exceed anything else, and we're on track. Everyone's very budget conscious on this, so it's not feature creep.
Well, that's good. Do we need to vote on this?
So we need a motion to basically take what I read, or I'll read it again if someone wants. I'll read it if someone wants to just move that motion after I'm done.
Well, I got
Or you can
it
read
here.
it.
So how about if I make the motion and read it just as it's written, okay?
Yep.
Good? Yeah?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
I make a motion that the library trustees authorize the use of up to $400,000 from the Reuben Hoare Library Trust funds to cover any potential shortfall in project costs, and further authorize the treasurer to withdraw these funds from the Reuben Hoare Library Trust funds as needed for the building project from available funds in the 300 or 400 section of the monthly detailed trust statement. The treasurer shall notify the trustees in advance of the movement of any funds, as well as the specific funds being impacted. That's a motion.
Someone want to unmute and second that?
I second it. Demetra Taylor seconds it.
Okay, just one thing to add to this so people are aware. So the funds may be withdrawn from the trust funds before they're actually needed and deposited into another MMDT-like account, just so that we're not subject to the whims of the stock market. So they may be withdrawing the funds and putting them aside, and if they don't use them, they can go back into trust funds, right?
Okay.
But we may see the trust funds balance go down by $400,000 here over the summer, but that doesn't mean they spent it. It just means they moved it to cash. Okay.
Okay. And we should be given an accounting of that.
Right.
When I ask for the balances, we should get that balance also.
Right. So and I've asked that if it's put into an MMDT account, they create another MMDT account or have some way of tracking it separate from the other one.
Good.
So, okay. So we had a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion on it? Someone said something.
I was just going to ask if that language was in the packet that Sam sent us. Can someone send that to me so I can put it in the minutes?
It was not, but we can send it to you.
Okay, thank you.
That language came from Steve Venuti and was approved by Cheryl I forget what her last name is.
Eric Stella,
Eric Stella, who's the town accountant,
finance director.
finance director. So this motion and our vote on it basically puts the project in budget, gives the finance director to the town treasurer the ability to sign off on the contract to say we have the available funds for the project as it's currently scoped. So if there's no further discussion, we can do a roll call.
David Silva votes yes.
Jocelyn votes yes.
Mira Gale votes yes.
Susan Harvey votes yes.
Demetra Taylor votes yes.
And Mark Rambacher votes yes.
All right,
Um,
Mark, who's going to send the language for this to Chris so she can get it?
I will email it after this meeting to Chris.
Okay.
And then tell Steve that we've approved it, and he'll wait for the minutes to come out, I'm sure. But
Okay, so the actual language was in front of authorized. It was the Reuben Hoare Library Trustees authorized.
Yep.
Okay.
okay, next on the agenda was summer reading.
Okay. So I was asked to give an update on how summer reading is going to work. So Diane, Jean, and Jenna all came up with this plan for how it's going to work. So this year's theme is Imagine Your Story. And the way we're going to do it is I'm going to create an online registration form for us, anyone to fill out, kids, teens, most likely adults as well. And what will happen is that form, once it gets filled out, will automatically go to an email address that we had created. And then Diane and Jean and Jenna will fill out a log for each child that sends in, registers for the program. And then they'll fill out the forms for them, the logs for them. And then they'll put the logs outside and, before we open with a bookmark, a calendar, a dragon picture, and maybe something else. After that, they'll email Diane their hours, and she and Jenna will fill out the tickets and place them in jars for them. She'll also keep something and monitor their progress. Pictures of the prizes will be put online on Facebook, on the website, and we'll send something through Constant Contact. There's not going to be any small prizes this year, just the raffle tickets for 30 big items, and pictures of those items will also be placed online. When we open to the public, then kids can show us their logs in person, but we won't touch the logs, so they'll just hold it up and show it to us. All programs will be held online through either Zoom or Facebook. And yeah, that's what we have planned. Any questions?
Sounds pretty good.
Okay. Okay, that's it for that.
Are we putting together a schedule of programs on the calendar or on the website, or how are we so this is a general question. How are we publicizing our programs and our services now?
So we're putting them on Facebook, online, on the website. We always put programs through the newspapers. We put it on LCTV. When they remember, the town also posts it on their Facebook and on their website. I tell them, but they don't always put it up. But we also send it out through Browse, Constant Contact. Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Can I ask a question about Browse? How it's supposed to come out monthly, yes?
Correct.
Is there any possibility we could raise that to twice a month?
Oh, sure. I mean, we can send it out as many times as we want.
The only thing that I'm saying this about is that not everybody in town is on Facebook. Some people do go to the library website, absolutely. But sending out that newsletter with updates about what's happening with the building, what's happening with access to books, et cetera, I think right now would be particularly important to have that happen on a more regular basis.
I agree. I think it would be nice to send out something at least twice a month or every other week. It doesn't have to be as involved as what we have in Browse. It can be like, a paragraph from you on, or, like on, we're glad everyone's back and here's the current status of the library, and here's the changes that are going to be happening in the next couple weeks, a schedule of events, right? And, what services we have. I like the idea if there's a way of, like what Mira was saying, where Diane was picking out books for her kids, if we could somehow figure out a way of better connecting people to books that they might not be aware of. Like in the library, typically there's those, sometimes there's the brown bag books, right? Maybe people could call up and say, I like Asimov books. Can someone, grab a couple off the shelf that I would, some genre like that I would like, and have a way of, offering a service like that to people or something, right? Let's figure out a way to get, let people know that we're open and there's some sense of normalcy that we're heading back to, and that we're there for them, and figure out what we can do.
Okay. Yeah, I'll try to figure out something for that.
So on that line, the librarian at my school before the summer sent out a Google form to the staff to give recommendations. So asking for books that you've read and enjoyed, authors that you like, and things like that. So maybe a Google form or something is a way to collect that information from people, or one way.
All right. I'll look into it.
Okay. Thank you.
No.
Are there, outside of summer reading, are there other programs coming up?
Yes, I haven't had time to look for them, but yes, I do plan on doing other programs through Zoom.
And this probably goes to Susan too. I know that the APUSH students usually do presentations at the library that must not, I don't know what they were doing, but maybe we can coordinate with something with them so that they can do them through a Zoom or something, and if they're happening here.
That's a great question, because what happens is that they usually end up finishing those projects, because they've been working on them all year, but they finish them after the AP exam in May. So I will check with Mr. Miskinnis to find out what is happening with those projects and offer him that opportunity. We'll see.
I have an APUSH student in my house who's going to be home in a couple minutes. I believe that they were canceled. I think they're not.
Were they?
They're not. Yeah, I think they're not happening.
Okay.
Which I was bummed about, because she had a really cool project, but because they couldn't have access to the historical society, society's several places that they needed to be able to get into to finish the projects, and they don't have access. So that's what I mean, check with them anyway, but I think that's what's happening.
That makes sense. Okay.
Well, she wants to give a talk anyway on what she knows so far.
Actually, she borrowed some books from Andy at the library, from personal books of Andy's, to do some work on feminism. So she had a really cool, learned a lot of really cool things and talked to some cool people. So she interviewed Andy actually at one point.
Okay. If there's nothing else, we'll move on to Sam's review. Our favorite time of the year.
How much of this goes into the minutes? Do I just put Sam's review?
We don't. Yeah, you don't have to have detailed discussion.
Right. Okay.
No.
I didn't think so. I just want to be able to.
So can I say that I don't like how this form works, because when I printed it out, I lost like half of the words.
Yeah, it's a standard form that everybody gets.
I lost an entire goal of yours when I printed it out. So maybe that works to your advantage.
Okay.
I don't know, Sam. All you did was get the library project approved. That wasn't much.
Yeah. So how do we want to do this?
Well, we can go through section by section, I guess. You can drive and say what you've done, and
Okay.
and why you rated yourself a certain way, and we can decide whether we agree with those ratings or want to change them.
Okay. So this year we got the library project approved. I completed the 5-year strategic plan. Let's see, I can't see the whole thing. I worked with the staff to inventory and weed the project. Weed the collection. And so what we did was we worked with MVLC to create an inventory of the collection, and we went through it. The staff did. We had Declan go through it, and they found a lot of books that were either damaged or not in the right place. And we also weeded a lot of books so that we have materials that are appropriate to move over to the new library when that comes time. I also worked with Holland to create a more itemized budget so that we, so usually in past years, we would get to about February and we would have less money than we did this year. So this year, what we did was we created a budget where we divided the money into quarters. We assigned certain budgets to each area, like teens and children's, and that way we were able to keep track of what we were spending in a much more concise and easier way. And then when this pandemic happened, I created a reopening plan that we're starting to follow now. Any questions on that? So I can't see.
Do we get to follow that plan, or is that also married to the governor's plan? Or I should say the plan that I saw, would that come from MBLC? There was a plan there for opening libraries also. Does yours run concurrent with all of those?
Right. So essentially, it's our plan to make. What MBLC comes up with is just a guide, and
Okay.
Obviously we have to follow the governor's orders as well.
Right. Okay.
Okay. So under communication, I gave myself a 4. I feel I communicate well with the staff and patrons. At least I try to. We have regular staff meetings, especially during this time. I held a weekly staff meeting with them, and we discussed where we were. I got input from the rest of the staff on how they were feeling and what they were doing while they were working from home. Under personnel management, that kind of goes along with it. I gave myself 5. I take a lot of input from the staff, and I work with them when they have ideas. Like Julie F. and Jeff, they wanted to do their own book clubs, so we created new book clubs for the library. I've worked with all the staff to really try to let them shine. Under financial management, I gave myself a 5 because of what we did with what Helen and I did to sort of go through the budget and figure out what we're spending, what we needed to spend to get ourselves through the year. I created a budget that is basically using less of gift money and more money from the town so that we're not depending on gifts and state aid as much for to reach the MAR. And we were able to reach the MAR even though we had the pandemic, which a lot of libraries haven't actually. Planning and organization, I gave myself a 4. I think I do pretty well with planning. I think leadership and problem solving, I gave myself a 4 in innovation. I think I work with the staff very well, and we all communicate very well with one another. When there is an issue that comes up, I think I've done pretty well with solving, creating a solution for those problems. Customer service, time management, that's the thing that's always gets me. I gave myself a 3 on that. With the project, it's hard to get out there as much as I would like. I've tried, but it's not always as easy to do. In technology competence, I gave myself a 5. I'm usually the guy that everybody goes to when they have a computer question in the library when IT isn't available. I've added a lot of new databases to the library. So, any questions, any comments?
Anyone have any comments on that section?
The
Want to change any? This is your chance to change the ratings, make any comments.
I just wanted to ask Sam. I feel like there's a certain the customer service time management. I'm not in the library every day with you, but seeing you at all of the board meetings, all of the info sessions, all of the things that we've done the past year. I don't know. I feel like that. I think you underrated yourself a little bit. I feel like that you go. You're out there a lot in those kinds of settings. Just want to, I guess, a thumbs up from me to you for that, because I feel like that's to me that feels like that's a lot. It's a lot of time and effort that you put in. So I don't know if you considered that aspect of your time as well, but that's certainly going out and having the meetings at night and the info sessions and talking to people about the architecture. I think you did that really well, and I think you should consider that.
Thank you.
Anyone else have any comments on the numbers?
I was wondering, Sam, how much time does it actually pull, maybe percentage-wise, when you? I mean, I know how much time you're spending on the building project. How much does that actually boil down to? Because that's some serious stuff. I'm just kind of curious.
The building project. So there's not just the meetings that we have with like people like Commodore and Vertex. I have MBLC meetings. We have workshops that we go to about construction. So that's a big chunk of the time. I'm currently the vice president of MVLC, and I'm about to become the president next month. So that takes up time. There are just regular workshops that I go to. So there's a lot of things pulling at me.
I imagine so. Thank you.
Anyone else have any comments on the ratings? I'm going to jump in when everyone else is done. So speak up. Hearing no one else, I will give my input. I agree. I think I agree with most of your ratings. I agree with the technical and the financial. The personnel, I will probably give you a 4 rather than a 5. And I think well, it's partially the pandemic and partially other. I think there just needs to be more communications. Well, actually, I don't know how much it goes to personnel and versus communication. We just need to do a better job of communicating externally and internally with people and know what's going on. With the personnel, I think we need to communicate with them to figure out what's going on with them and make sure that they're all comfortable in their roles and with each other and everything else as we progress through these various stages. with the communication, I think we need to do a better job of communicating generally with the community on what's going on with the library. Now that we need to be a lot more, we need to be more the face of the town, in the face of normalcy as much as we can at this point, and help people kind of get back on their feet, right? And come back out, and we pushed the new library as being a community center and community asset, and we need to make sure people know that we're still the community asset, that the community service, community center that we were before. And that's going to require you, and actually all of us, probably to get outside of our comfort zones to a certain extent, and be more public and vocal in the face of what's going on, as we progress through these various stages. And I think as we progress through these various stages, it's going to be really scary for a lot of people, including the personnel, and it's going to require a lot more, I don't want to say micromanagement, but more like more personal interactions and empathy towards what's going on with people than, and it's going to take a lot of your time, and probably Helen's time, and I don't know who else's time, just to try and manage the social dynamics of reopening. Does anyone else have any comments on any of that?
I think I think that's a good idea that we put ourselves out there. And I guess you could say that the way that it first you would present yourself would be through the personnel that are actually interacting with the patrons, which is our employees, our librarians. Going maybe a little extra mile. If somebody says, "Hey, I can't come inside, I want to browse, but I can't, can you help me out with something?" And then, the librarian says, "Well, what kind of stuff do you like? What kind of authors do you like?" And before you know it, they've struck up a little conversation, and then the librarian says, "You know what? Let me go inside, and I'll pick you some books up, and I'll send you an email, and you come back and pick them up. And if you like them, fine. If you don't, you just leave them there, and we'll figure out something else." Things like that. That's where we're going to shine.
This is going to sound kind of wrong, probably. I don't know the right way to say it, but the things that we were doing before that might have been the right way to do them and acceptable to do in the past are probably not enough going forward, right? The old way I think we need to be a lot more, project a lot more confidence and be a lot more public on a lot of things than we potentially were in the past, right? And just try and the customer service is going to change a lot, I think, on how we're delivering customer service, and we're going to have to figure that out. And I know this is kind of in the review section, but I think it's kind of reflects in the review that you're going to have to get outside of your comfort zone on some of these things to be up there and standing in front and smiling at all the people coming in and telling them it's all okay, whether it is or not.
Whether it is or not, right? Be the actor. This is my last meeting with all of you, and it's been really interesting and really fun to do. But I know what's going on with the library because I'm a trustee, not because I'm a member of the town. So more communication, more being out there, and whether that's in print or I don't know, dressing up in a funny costume, I don't know, but we are essential. We have to say and be essential. So thank you, Mark.
So we'll get Sam a book costume and have him standing out in front of the library with a sign that says "We're open."
Okay.
I think it should be a hedgehog though, because of Diane's collection.
Okay.
There you go.
Right.
So on the numbers, Sam, I'm fine with everything. I would probably move personnel down to 4. That's my take, and I don't know if we get to vote on that or what happens, but that's my personal statement.
Let's see. Let's see. So
Well,
you're
it's just,
you're the evaluator. You have to sign off on it, so we don't vote on it, I don't think.
I don't know how it's supposed to work. I'd have to actually read it in more detail on evaluators.
It's on the bottom.
So are you supposed to do the rating, Sam? Are you supposed to come up with those numbers, or was I supposed to come up with those numbers?
So the way it's always worked in the past is the employee creates the numbers for himself, and then they present it to their supervisor, and then the supervisor comes up and says yes or yay or nay.
Okay, so
Yeah,
does
my
anyone
two-
else have any comments on the numbers?
Not on the numbers. I can't stand the form. The last 6 times I've seen this form, it just revolts me every time. You know, I just wish there was a better form that we could follow. It is confusing, but it's not. Sam makes his own numbers, and we just review them. We don't give him the initial numbers. You know, and it took me a couple of years just to figure that out. Like, I really wish there was a different form, but as far as the numbers go, I'll go with you, and I don't think we need to vote on this. I think he signs it and you sign it, and we're done, I guess.
Okay, then I would just make the personnel number a 4.
Okay, I changed it.
Okay. Anyone else have any other comments on that before we move to the objectives?
Objective.
So Sam, based on the way the screen works, I'm guessing that you'll fit 3 of them on a screen at a time. So do you want to just do like performance objectives 1 through 3, and then we'll go through the second, what's on page 3 versus what's on page 4?
It looks like only one on my screen fits. So
Okay.
all right. So
Okay.
last year, my objective 1 was to continue to focus on the library projects, taking us to the town meeting. Should the project pass, I'll continue to work with architects and other relevant committees to take the project through completion. So the project was approved, and yeah, so I gave myself the 5.
So 5 means that he completely achieved it.
Right.
Total achievement, just because they changed the scale. So
Yeah.
I'm fine with that one.
All right. Objective 2 was to work with the staff to begin an inventory project of the collection. The goal of the project is to inventory all library materials and weed based on use of condition of materials. This will allow us to have a better understanding of the collection, and should the project pass, which materials we should move to the new library. The inventory was completed, and it allowed us to fix collection issues of weed and unwanted materials, and now the collection is in a better condition to move to the new library. I gave myself a 5 on that. Any questions?
Anyone have any comments? I'm fine with that one too.
So 3 was continue to work with the staff, COA, and possibly other town departments to offer programs of different types to both entertain and educate the public, raising the profile of the library as we continue to work. I supported the staff with the creation of new children's story times, 2 book clubs. I worked with COA to bring 2 programs to seniors with the help of Helen. I also took over Girls Who Code and worked with IBM to offer that program to patrons. Any more into that? And there were 25 girls who participated in Girls Who Code before the pandemic hit.
That's great.
Okay. Any questions?
So just so I'm between a 5 and a 4 on this one, just because of the last part with about raising the profile, and that goes back to more of the communication. But I'm fine with however everyone else likes it, if it's a 5 or a 4. For those that can't see, I'm scrolling through the thing on my other screen. So the number 5 means total achievement, 4 means higher achievement, 3 means moderate achievement, 2 means minimum achievement, and 1 means did not achieve. So I'm leaning towards a 4, but if everyone else likes a 5, I'm fine with that too. Don't everyone speak at once.
Okay.
It wasn't an okay question, Dave.
Yeah, I know.
Do you prefer A or B? Yes.
Hey,
Which one's A?
Yeah.
just let them have it. Do better. We'll give you a 5. Do better.
So can I ask, this is objectives from last, completed object, not new objective, right?
Correct.
Yes.
So I guess personally, I feel like, Sam, the raising of the profile from last year as it pertains to, as I said before, all of the outreach, all of the meetings, I think raising the profile as we go forward is a different issue. So I don't think that we should dock him a point for future raising of profile. I think that's my opinion. I think he achieved that higher level of profile this past year. But I think going forward, I agree that we need to really look at how we're going to continue to keep that profile high, especially moving in with the pandemic stuff, moving into the new building. My 2 cents.
Okay. I'm fine with whatever the.
Yeah, I agree with Chris. What she said makes sense to me too. So leave it as a 5, but with the understanding that more needs to be done in the future to raise the profile.
Okay. Like I said, I was border on this one between a 4 and a 5, so didn't. Yeah.
I agree with a 5 as well. I mean, considering that last year was the year that we really, we needed the vote to pass. I mean, that was our primary focus. And I think that Sam did an excellent job in, getting that type of profile out to the community, to get them out to understand what the library does for the community and to vote yes. So I would rate him a 5 on that.
Okay. You can move along, Sam.
Okay. So objective 4 was to track usage of the library to determine a possible change in future library hours. So I did track hours and speak with staff and others about what they thought about the library hours. I went through the library, kind of took an informal look at when the library was busy, when it wasn't. And basically, the library is the most busiest during the middle of the day, but between the hours of 8 and 9, it's really not busy at all. And the only reason we really have stayed open is because of the meeting rooms between 8 and 9, because people use the meeting rooms until 9. But so in the future, when we do get a new library, I would recommend we close at 8 and maybe open at the same time every day just to keep things consistent at around 11 a.m. So I didn't really get a chance to express this to you guys because of the pandemic, but that was my idea.
Yeah. Even
Okay.
on Saturday, you wouldn't open until 11?
I mean, we could open at 10 and just stay open later if possible, or close earlier on another day.
Okay.
I mean, this is really something we probably have to do when the new library is built.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think we should be changing hours until we have a new building.
Yeah.
Nope.
And then maybe not even right away then.
I think Sam achieved that objective, though. I think the issue of the hours is a conversation for a different meeting. But I think all
Yes.
of the tracking and the data collection is I think that's good reading.
Okay.
Actually, really lucky you tracked it before the pandemic, though, because I don't think you'd have the data going forward.
Right.
So that says something for not leaving things to the last minute.
And objective 5 was prepare a new 5-year strategic plan. And I did that, and I presented it to all of you a few months ago, and you approved it.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's it for that section.
Okay.
All right. So these are goals for this coming year.
Yeah, hang on just a second.
Yes.
So this is one of the things that messes me up about this stupid thing. Right here, the employee and the evaluator will jointly develop 5 performance objectives. Did somebody do that with you?
No, but so this never works the way it says every year.
That's why, listen, I really don't like this form. I wish it was totally different, but
Yeah.
it is what it is. So go ahead.
All right.
Well, I think we're doing that now. He's sort of giving
Right.
us those the draft, and we're sort of approving or adding to those. I think that's typical for a performance performance
fair enough.
evaluation.
Yeah.
So the goal 1 is, again, the building project, continue to work with the trustees, PMBC, architects, CM at Resco PM, and a BLC to see us through the completion of the project. Number 2 is guide the library staff through the current COVID-19 pandemic, creating plans to ensure the safety of the staff and patrons while maintaining regular library services and new virtual programs.
Before we move off 2, can we add things about communicating? You know, I don't know what the exact verbiage we want is, but like, I don't want to say to be like the face of the library either, but like figure out a communication plan and strategy, and publicize what we're doing. Katrina's much better at wordsmithing things than I am, but we need a communication plan and regular updates and.
Is that a separate item, do you think?
I think it all. Well, I don't know.
Having not seen the rest of it, because I wonder if there's a sort of one that number 2 is more about staff, and maybe there's another section that's more about the public outreach, or
Actually, there isn't. So you'd have to add what Mark wants to add somewhere, because all of these other objectives are not referring to that.
So if you want to, well, why don't you go through the other ones,
right,
Sam, and then we'll come back to what the worded.
2A and 2B. That's fine.
Okay.
2A and 2B. This is just between us, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So can you make that regular updates to patrons and staff? Patrons. I mean, we need to figure out how we're patron, staff, trustees. The world, right?
Number 3 is review current job descriptions and work with human resources and the personnel committee to better meet the needs of the library and staff. This is something that I think needs to be done. A lot of the job descriptions were created by the staff and don't always match what they do. So I'd like to kind of go through all the job descriptions and kind of tweak them.
Yeah. I don't want to say that we should. I don't want to review these with a fine-tooth comb from the trustees' perspective, but we should also review these because I know we'll just pick on Andrea for a minute, but just because she has a certain job title and does a certain thing, but she does a lot of things outside of her job title, that we need to figure out the job description shouldn't be so tailored to what one specific individual does, that if Andrea retires, that we have to come up with someone that meets that job description when she's doing things up and beyond what the typical job description should be.
Right.
So-
That's the issue I'm having with the job descriptions now, is that a lot of the staff, when they created them, they kind of just put down what they did. And in the future, that doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to continue that way. For instance, when James Tabor left, he did a lot of the YA, but that's not was necessarily in his job description. And when I looked for someone new, I had to consider that, though.
Okay.
Number 4 is we're going to have to come up with a plan to move into the new library. We're prepping the collection, furniture, and other materials to be moved. So coming up with some sort of plan for moving. And also, number 5 is, given the pandemic, we're going to have to probably tweak the budget again, and what sort of acquisitions we're making, maybe move to more online materials or other. We have to really consider what we're buying going into the future, given the current situation.
I'm fine with this. I wonder if there should also be something to work with the finance director on budgeting strategies going forward as well. Not that you don't already have to do that, but I think it also, you might as well call it out.
I think that's it.
So does anyone have any comments on these 5 things that we're going to hold Sam's feet to the fire to do next year? Anything they want to add, change? Do they want to add something about having him outside in the hedgehog costume? Is there a room in the budget for a hedgehog costume, Helen?
I don't think Helen's here anymore. She doesn't like
Oh.
speaking for this.
I bet some kids would totally fundraise to see you do that.
I have a penguin costume you can borrow.
I'll do it.
Didn't there used to be a Clifford costume at Shaker Lane, or was that a borrowed thing? I don't know if they used to do that.
It was borrowed, I believe.
So are people happy with these 5 goals for Sam?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy.
So I can say that I'm happy with them. I think you've did a really a great job getting us through the building project this year, Sam. We have a lot more to do on that. I think the next year is going to be extremely challenging, from not only the building project, but just managing the staff and the patrons and expectations, and, you know, projecting normalcy in an abnormal situation, right? And figuring out how we're going to communicate with everyone, and figuring out what everyone, both outside the library, what they need and how we can best help them, and figure out how to keep the staff happy, healthy, and safe. So,
Okay.
I think you need to lean on us to do whatever we can to help you out, because you're going to be overwhelmed otherwise. And anything we can do to keep you in that same happy, healthy, and safe boat, you need to lean on us for. So,
Thank you.
I'm tired.
I just want to make sure that we thank Susan Harvey for her contribution to our board before we close the meeting, because I think this is her last meeting with us.
I think we'll
she
schedule another one just to be sure she wants to go for one more.
You will
We'll have
do
another one before June
thing.
20th, so we can have her back one more time.
No, Katrina needs to take over.
I'll just put Susan Harvey under my box. No one will notice.
Thank you all. This has really been fun and interesting, and I'm really, really happy to have been a part of getting the new library started. It's cool.
It's been fun sitting next to you, so thank you.
You're welcome.
I've got to say, I've never seen anybody that was actually so busy.
Yeah.
You get my vote for #1 busy person.
Thank you. Thank you. I think my husband would second that.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if that's a good thing, but you get my vote for #1 busy person. Yeah.
Oh,
Do you ever take a vacation?
No.
No, no.
No, not really. I mean, when I take my students to Europe, yes, but that's it.
Or their parents.
Or their parents. That's right. But I'm always minding somebody. So yeah.
Well, thanks for delivering a great speech at town meeting too.
You are very
Yes,
welcome.
absolutely.
You need an actor? Call me. Particularly in a penguin suit. Yeah.
So where do you want us to drop off the penguin suit, Sam?
Curbside.
It better hit Facebook. That's all.
Oh yeah.
Thank you, Susan.
You're welcome.
Does anyone have anything else for the meeting?
I'm all set.
When is our next meeting?
July 2nd.
July 2nd.
Guess I have to pay attention at that point, huh?
See you all at town meeting.
Yeah, town
Yeah.
meeting is what? Town meeting is when?
The 13th.
Next week,
Yeah.
right?
Okay,
Next week,
and
8 a.m.
Yeah, that's on Saturday at 7 a.m. Yeah.
Yeah.
And town
No,
election is when?
But
The
you have to get
20th.
there early.
Oh, yeah.
Town-
Bring your own coffee.
Yeah.
Town election is when?
I believe it's on the 20th.
The 20th.
You know, nobody even knows.
Yeah.
You can vote
This
for
is so
myself
weird.
and Katrina on the 20th
right.
for library trustee.
So just remember, David, not to wear your high heels on alumni field, okay?
That's what I hear. Yeah, somebody said you have to have special shoes.
Yes.
I
Yes.
figured just shoes would be okay as long as they didn't have high heels.
Mm.
What do they want? Sneakers?
Sneakers, wedges. If you have a wedge shoe, that would be fine, yes. But no high heels, please. And I'm wondering what they're going to do for chairs.
Oh, I don't know.
They-
Oh,
they-
graduation.
the school has
figured we-
chairs that they use for graduation.
Yeah.
Well, I think we hire those. Yeah. I think they're going to have to hire them.
I may actually stay home.
You have something to vote for the library. Come
It's a
on.
library vote.
I do. My daughter just reminded me how hot that field can be
Uh-huh.
and how much the temperature drops just when you walk off the field.
Yep.
Never mind the temperature of the day. You know, it's usually 10 degrees hotter on the field.
Yep.
So,
The meeting's at
All right.
8 a.m. I assume it's going to go quickly.
yeah.
You don't think that would be sitting in the bleachers? I was assuming we would be on the bleachers.
Oh, no.
No,
No?
no, they're not using the bleachers. It's all
Oh,
on the
okay.
field.
Oh, okay.
Actually, I heard the selectmen are going to be on the bleachers.
That's what I heard too.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That'll be the
Interesting.
stage.
So
Yeah.
that way you can look up at them.
Interesting.
And vote for their stipends.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I'm not real happy with them.
No.
No.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn if there's nothing else.
David still makes a motion to adjourn.
Oh, wait, we
already
should let
seconds
Susan
it.
do that.
All right. She seconded it.
I seconded it. Yes.
Okay, we have to do a roll call.
David still votes yes.
Susan Harvey votes yes.
Chris Aslan votes yes.
Here again, votes yes.
Demetra Taylor votes yes.
So we are officially adjourned, and we will see everyone on July 2nd. Hopefully in
All right.
person by then.
Excellent.
Thank you again, Susan.
Bye. Bye,
Thank you, Susan.
Thank you
Thank you,
again.
Susan. Thank you.
Hi.
Thank you. See you at school.
You betcha.
Okay.